Ready to unlock some next-level social strategy. You sent over Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
And let's be honest,
Yeah.
it's a bit infamous, right?
It is.
But before you picture some evil mastermind,
Right.
we're not talking about, manipulating people.
No.
This deep dive is about recognizing how power dynamics work.
Yes.
So you can navigate them effectively.
Exactly. Think of it like this. These laws are like hidden currents that influence how people interact, whether they realize it or not.
Right.
Greene just gives us a way to see them.
Okay, so Law 6 immediately caught my eye. Court attention at all cost. Greene tells this story about Count Lustig, who would breeze into fancy hotels acting like royalty. He'd barely say a word, just drop hints about his fortune and connections.
And people went wild.
Oh, I bet.
Trying to figure him out.
Yeah.
What's brilliant is how Lustig understood something we all struggle with, like standing out
Totally.
in a world overloaded with information.
It's so true.
Being memorable is power.
You know who else nailed this? P.T. Barnum.
Oh, yeah?
The Reverend Avery stuff
No, that's a good one.
is a wild example.
Yeah.
Imagine this. He hires an actor to play this disgraced preacher, parades him around town.
Ah.
Outrage ensues, but everyone's glued.
Oh, Barnum was a master of spectacle. He knew that even bad publicity kept him in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah?
The lesson here isn't to be outrageous, but that sometimes deliberately attracting attention, even in unconventional ways, can work to your advantage.
I like that a lot, but hold on. There's a difference between visibility and being everywhere, right? Which is where Law 7 comes in.
Yes.
Get others to do the work, but always take the credit.
It's about strategic delegation.
Yes.
And the story of Edison and Tesla is a cautionary tale.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
So Tesla was brilliant,
Yeah.
creating alternating current, while Edison pushed his own system.
Right.
Edison even tried to sabotage Tesla's work,
Wow.
worried about his own legacy.
So Tesla got overshadowed.
He did.
Even though his technology won out in the end.
Yeah.
Imagine pouring your heart into something,
Right.
only to see someone else take credit.
Right.
It's a harsh reminder to ensure our efforts are recognized.
Yes.
Especially in collaborative settings.
Exactly. You could be the best at what you do.
Yeah.
But if you don't control how your work is perceived, you risk being overlooked.
It's so true. Now for a different approach to influence.
Okay.
Let's look at laws 12 and 13.
Okay.
Law 12 is use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Greene uses this intense anecdote about Castruccio Castracani, an Italian warlord,
Okay.
and his rival Stefano.
Okay.
Stefano made a fatal error pleading for Castracani's mercy.
Which totally backfired. Castracani, like many in positions of power, saw mercy as weakness.
Interesting.
It highlights that sometimes calculated generosity is more disarming than begging.
I see.
Think about the saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
There are always strings attached.
Right.
I'm starting to see a theme here.
Right. And that contrasts beautifully with Law 13.
Okay.
When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest.
Okay.
The ancient Athenians were masters of this.
Really?
Forget emotional appeals. They wanted to know, what's in it for us?
Wow.
Yeah.
Greene tells a story of a Corinthian ambassador trying to rally the Athenians with passionate pleas.
Yeah.
And it fell flat.
It did. They saw through theatrics because the Athenians understood that self-interest drives most decisions.
Yeah.
If you want someone on your side, show them how it benefits them directly,
Right.
logically, and you're far more likely to win them over.
That's a good point. So calculated generosity versus appealing to self-interest.
Yeah.
Two very different paths to influence.
Yes.
Speaking of understanding others' motives,
Right.
Law 14 is intriguing.
Yeah.
Pose as a friend, work as a spy.
Now, before you imagine bugging phones,
Okay.
it's more about astute observation and information gathering. Think of Joseph Duveen, the art dealer,
Okay.
who desperately wanted to sell to the reclusive millionaire Andrew Mellon.
Okay.
And Mellon hated Duveen's style.
Oh.
So Duveen took the long game,
Okay.
spending years learning Mellon's habits, tastes, even his phobias, before ever making his pitch.
Wow. And it worked.
And it worked.
Wow.
Duveen became Mellon's trusted art advisor.
Wow. So he really...
It shows the power of deeply understanding the people you want to influence.
Okay.
But there's a flip side to this intense information gathering, which Law 18 warns us about.
Okay.
Isolation is dangerous. Cultivate allies.
Right. Take China's first emperor,
Okay.
Qin Shi Huang.
Yes.
He built this incredible palace,
Yes.
then became reclusive, fearing assassination.
But being shut off made him more vulnerable, not less.
Oh.
It's a classic case of thinking you're protecting yourself,
Right.
but actually making yourself an easier target.
Right.
Contrast that with Louis IV then.
Okay.
And Versailles, lavish palace, yes, but also a way to keep potential rivals close, observable.
So he used social gatherings as a form of intelligence gathering.
Exactly.
Clever. It seems knowledge is power,
Yes.
but only when combined with the right relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about how easily perception can be manipulated
Okay.
with laws 26 and 27.
Okay.
Law 26 is keep your hands clean,
Okay.
using scapegoats to deflect blame.
Okay.
Remember that story about the staged boxing match?
Oh, that's good.
These con men convinced this guy, Giesel, to bet big on a rigged fight.
Uh-huh.
Of course he loses everything.
Of course.
But they frame this innocent bystander named Vile.
Oh, no.
The con men vanish, and Giesel is none the wiser.
Wow.
It proves how powerful a crafted illusion can be. We tend to believe what we see, even if it's staged.
Which makes me think about all the subtle manipulations we probably fall for every day.
And that leads perfectly to Law 27,
Okay.
which is play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following.
Yeah?
This guy, George Salmanazar,
Oh.
convinced everyone he was from Formosa,
Really?
even invented a whole language and religion for it.
And people bought it. I mean,
He did.
talk about a con.
It's amazing.
But it shows how much we crave.
Totally.
Extraordinary, something to believe in.
Exactly. Salmanazar tapped into that human need.
Yeah.
And it made his story irresistible.
Right.
Even though it was completely fabricated.
Okay, I need to shake off all this deception for a minute.
Right.
Let's talk about something a bit more
Zen.
zen. Law 33 is all about mastering the art of timing
Yeah.
and its inverse.
This one's about strategic patience.
Okay?
Something Louis XIV was brilliant at.
Okay.
Greene describes how Louis would listen to his advisors argue, never revealing his own thoughts, just
Yeah.
saying, I shall see, and then
Yeah.
he'd walk away,
Really?
leaving everyone in suspense.
Wow.
Masterful use of silence.
Right.
By holding back, he kept his court off balance,
Right.
maintaining an air of mystery and control.
It's like he understood that sometimes the most powerful move is to wait,
Yes.
to observe,
Yes.
to let things unfold before revealing your hand.
Precisely. It's a sharp contrast to someone like Napoleon,
Okay.
known for his impulsiveness, which ultimately contributed to his downfall.
thought-
Timing, or the lack of it,
Yeah.
can make or break success.
That's such a good point. Speaking of knowing when to hold back, Law 36, the power of strategic disdain, really resonated with me.
Yeah.
How much energy do we waste on things we can't control?
It's a constant struggle, but this law is about picking your battles,
Right.
recognizing that sometimes ignoring something is more powerful than engaging with it.
Didn't Greene mention P.T. Barnum with this one too?
He did. When Barnum was facing a scandal, instead of getting defensive,
Right.
he just shrugged it off, treating it like another one of his spectacles.
So instead of getting bogged down,
Yeah.
he used the controversy to his advantage.
Exactly.
Bold move.
By refusing to play the game, he changed the rules. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the best reaction is no reaction at all.
That's a good one. Now let's talk about hidden obligations.
Yeah.
Law 40 is despise the free lunch.
Yes.
A warning about those too good to be true offers.
Remember the diamond hoax?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that one.
Con men planted fake diamonds, then convinced wealthy investors they'd discovered a massive diamond field.
No.
Oh, yeah.
And these investors believed them.
They preyed on those investors' greed, making them think they were getting a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And they fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Wow.
It's a classic example of how we can be blinded by the promise of a deal. But the real lesson here is to be wary of those hidden strings, to always ask yourself, what's the catch?
So it's about being discerning, about looking beyond the surface to understand the true cost of things.
Yes.
What about those times when you're following in someone else's footsteps?
Right.
Law 41, don't step into a great man's shoes, feels relevant to so many situations.
It does.
Has you ever felt overshadowed by someone else's accomplishments.
Absolutely. It's a common experience.
Yeah.
Especially when taking on a role previously held by someone very successful.
Right.
Greene uses the example of Louis XV,
Okay.
who inherited the throne from his incredibly powerful great-grandfather, Louis XIV.
And it didn't go so well for Louis XV, did it?
Not exactly. He inherited a strong kingdom but lacked his great-grandfather's drive.
Right.
He became complacent,
Oh, no.
indulging in luxury while neglecting his duties.
Wow.
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of resting on someone else's laurels.
It's like he was so busy trying to fill those great man's shoes
Yes.
that he forgot to forge his own path.
Precisely. And that leads us to another important insight: the dangers of appearing too perfect.
Okay.
Law 46, never appear too perfect, is all about the envy and resentment
Oh, right.
that can come with seeming flawless.
Oh, this reminds me of the story about Michelangelo and his rival Bramante.
Exactly.
Oh.
Bramante was insanely jealous of Michelangelo's talent
Right.
and tried to sabotage his work on the Sistine Chapel.
But Michelangelo used that envy to fuel his masterpiece.
He did.
Talk about turning a negative into a positive.
It's a powerful example of how we can use those negative emotions to our advantage.
Totally.
Instead of letting envy derail us, we can channel it into motivation, into striving for excellence.
I like that a lot. Okay, last but not least,
Okay.
we've got Law 48.
Yes.
Assume formlessness.
This one feels especially relevant in today's world.
It really does.
It's about the power of flexibility,
Okay.
adaptability.
Right.
Think of it like water.
Okay.
It can carve through rock, not by force, but by its persistent, adaptable nature.
I see.
In a world that's constantly changing, those who can adapt will be the ones who thrive.
It's like that saying,
Totally.
the only constant is change.
Exactly. And Greene gives a fascinating example of this.
What's that?
With the Japanese approach to foreign influence.
Okay.
They were willing to adopt certain elements of other cultures, but always while maintaining their core identity.
So it's not about becoming a chameleon, blending in completely,
Right.
but rather about being open to new ideas while staying true to your own values. I like that. It feels very relevant to, well, pretty much every aspect of life.
Absolutely. Adaptability is crucial.
Right.
Whether you're dealing with a difficult colleague,
Right.
navigating a complex social situation,
Right.
or even just trying to get your point across effectively.
This has been a whirlwind. We've covered so much ground,
It has.
from the importance of strategic patience to the dangers of isolation,
Right.
from the power of calculated generosity to the need for adaptability.
Yes.
What are some of the key takeaways you want to leave our listener with today?
Well, it's interesting you say whirlwind because that's what navigating power dynamics can feel like, you know?
It really is.
Yeah, there are so many factors to consider.
Right.
But if I had to distill it,
Okay.
I'd say self-awareness is paramount.
Okay.
You need to understand your strengths. Right.
Weaknesses
Yeah.
and how your actions appear to others.
Because how we think we're coming across isn't always how it's received.
Exactly.
Right.
Second, strategic thinking is crucial.
Okay.
These laws aren't about brute force,
Right.
but about subtle influence.
Right.
Anticipating your, quote, opponent's moves,
I see.
like a game of chess, but played out in everyday life.
So it's about being thoughtful, intentional with our interactions, not just reacting emotionally.
Precisely. And finally, we can't forget adaptability.
Right.
The world is constant change.
Yeah.
Those who can flow with it embrace uncertainty.
Right.
Those are the people who will thrive in the long run.
It's true. Those three things really encapsulate so much of what we've discussed.
They do.
What about you? Which law has really stuck with you?
You know, it's Law 36.
The power of strategic disdain.
Okay.
That keeps coming back to mind.
What is it about that one?
It's so tempting to get caught up in every little drama,
So true.
to react to everything. But this law reminds us to pick our battles.
Because sometimes not engaging is the most powerful move.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's about focusing on what truly matters.
Right.
And not letting those little things drain your energy.
That's a good one. Okay, one last thought before we wrap up.
Okay.
Out of everything we've unpacked from Greene's book,
Yeah.
what's the most important thing you think our listeners should walk away with today?
The real power of these laws isn't in using them to manipulate,
Right.
but in recognizing how they already influence the world around us.
That's a good point.
Pay attention to your own interactions.
Ralph?
See if you can spot these dynamics at play.
Like, am I being influenced?
Yeah.
Am I influencing others? And am I doing it consciously?
Exactly. Once you start seeing these patterns,
Right.
you'll be amazed at how much more effectively you can navigate your personal and professional relationships.
That's a brilliant point to end on. It's not about becoming some, like, power-hungry strategist, but
No.
about, like, understanding
It's
awareness
yeah.
and engaging with these
Mhm.
dynamics in a skillful,
Yes,
ethical way.
absolutely.
And honestly, isn't that far more powerful in the long run
I think so.
to achieve your goals because you understand the game,
Yes.
not because you're trying to force your way through it?
I agree.
This has been a fascinating deep dive, and I have a feeling we've given our listener a lot to think about.
I think so too.
So until next time.
To be continued.
All right. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.